Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to another episode of Blue Jay Tay TV. I am Blue Jay Tay. I am actually recording on my phone, so I'm going to double check and see how it sounds. I hope it doesn't sound horrible, but for some reason my mic is doing the most right now. But I wanted to publish an episode for you guys, so let's get started. I am going to discuss something that is going to either give me lots of fandom or make people hate me. I'm going to talk about the worst Degrassi characters in the new generation. Well, this is how I look at them. So it's all fun and games. Don't fight me, guys. So I'm going to get started with Darcy Edwards. I actually did like Darcy, but this is the thing. It was Darcy's selfish attitude, even when she was trying to identify herself with Spinner, when she just wanted to be more sexy, more alive, and she, instead of her just having a normal conversation about that, she turned around and had Peter take racy photos of her and basically distribute child pornography to some guy she didn't even know. That was, to me, just ridiculous. And prior to that, the whole thing about her obsessing over Spinner not being a virgin, it was just like, who cares? You can't expect everybody you come in contact with to be a virgin. It was giving girl bad. It was giving obsessed. And I liked the way Paige read her for filth at that party when she was like, oh, I know you slept with Spinner. I felt that. But her most egregious act to me is after her date rape, where, she doesn't know who this guy was and he ruined her first sexual experience. However, she turns around and comes on to Mr. Simpson, who was a grown man, and then proceeds to lie on him and say, oh, you touch me. Sometimes you make me feel uncomfortable. And
I will tell them all about how you treat me like some kind of teacher's pet. And how sometimes you hug me and touch my legs, and I find it uncomfortable.
Of saying to her mom, the reason I'm reacting and acting crazy is because I'm legitimately unsure of the person who swiped my virginity from me. It just seemed very easier to say that about somebody she didn't know as opposed to a respected educator. She really ruined, his life, his reputation, because even though he was exonerated for all this, people still are going to believe that he did it, because that's anything on the planet. You could write it in the blood of the Lord and people are still going to say, I don't believe you. So that's why Darcy's on this list. Next, we're going to go to Spinner Mason. I am actually a very big Spinner fan. So I am basically using him as I guess you would say, kind of an unpopular opinion. Spinner was a very big bully in the beginning, and I sensed very early on that he was kind of jealous of Jimmy because Jimmy's family was rich, but, Spinner still had family, and that's the thing that Jimmy didn't necessarily have. His parents were always gone. He was always home alone. So I feel like he didn't give him any real respect as a really good friend of his. So when he stole his iPod, his MP3 player, but copyright. So when he stole his MP3 player and tried to sell it to Sully, Manny's weirdo ex, I just felt like that was the turning point of the relationship, because they were definitely good friends still, but you could tell there was always this weird rift between them two. And then him cheating on Darcy, that was just come on, dude, seriously? After you just got done proving he was just the one that was in the right, and then he still cheated on her after that. I'm like, bro, come on. But whatever. So then, when Rick came back, no, I'm sorry, before we even get to Rick, the way he treated Paige after her sexual assault case with Dean was just ridiculous, because he was trying to have sex with her, and it's like, dude, she's about to go to court for this. She's not ready. Then when she had crashed his car into Dean's and she had to pay him back, he just seems very happy about it. I didn't like that. And he basically, he kind of trailed behind her like a little puppy. Not gonna lie, he really did. But I feel in that moment he was like, yeah, I'm gonna make her trail behind me like a little puppy. And he took it to a whole new extreme. And then he gets into a fight with Craig about Manny at her job and gets her fired. Spinner. Then he turned around and linked up with Jay, bullied Rick to the point that he snapped. And then instead of taking the blame for what they've done, he let Jay coerce him into making Rick think that it was Jimmy's fault. And even though they were beefing at the time because Jimmy was mad at him for being a bully, it's not like Spinner knew that Rick was going to shoot Jimmy. However, if you think he's a psycho, you think he's a sad and a third, why would you push him in the direction of somebody like Jimmy, who's like the nicest guy ever? And then on top of that, when it happened, I just felt like, his guilt ate him alive, even though I really did like the way it did because he really didn't come to the hospital to visit him. But his guilt ate him alive to the point that, he didn't come visit him and all that stuff. And then he tried to be like overbearing when he came back. But it's like, you caused a chain of reactions that got your best friend shot. Rick died. And then Sean was beyond traumatized by that. And so was Emma. So it's just like, he just caused too many chains of reactions. And I just felt like it took him a while to get a good character arc. But when he did, I was like, oh, thank God. Because he had me stressed out. So next on the list is Drew Torres. Now, Drew, listen, what makes him one of the worst people at Degrassi is that, honestly, he still hooked up with Bianca after she outed Adam for being transgender. And then, which is his brother. And then, he dated her. And it just seemed like ever since then, he dated every single girl Adam had a crush on. And it was just like, Drew, at what point do you just stop? I mean, if you want to have sex with your own brother, just say that. Because that's what it's given. Like, it is definitely given. Seriously, he irked my soul with that. And the way he treated Allie was just so... I hated it. He really just disrespected her. Oh, I'm sorry. And then that little weird relationship he had with Zoe... ew, it was definitely given R. Kelly status, and that's all I have to say. Moving on, we got Jay Hogarth. Everybody knows why Jay's on the list. I'm gonna make it short, sweet, and simple. Although Jay is one of my favorite characters, I'm not gonna lie to y'all, because he was entertaining, but he always came around at the most inconvenient time to start up with the most craziest shit between everybody. Like, especially when he, ratted out Paige to Hazel, getting JT to become a drug dealer. Like, he just, him and Spinner with the whole Rick thing. I mean, that guy he had no end to his bullshit. Okay, it took Jay forever to get it together, and I think he really changed when he met Manny, and I really did enjoy the relationship, to be honest with you. It was very cute, very loving, and I liked them together. So that was a good move on the writer's part. Another short, sweet, and simple person we're going to get out the way is Casey Guthrie. I think that's how you pronounce his last name. But Casey came in, started dating Claire, and then as soon as Jenna came along, he was like, bye, Felicia. Like, ma'am, I'm old sir. Like, and literally just kind of left Claire in the dust and dated Jenna, and then got her pregnant, and then basically was like, oh, well, yeah, everything's going to be fine after you have the abortion. And she's like, oh, wait a minute. I didn't say I was doing that. Like, I mean, he was such an asshole, dude. Seriously. And then when he, they had the baby and, he was feeling kind of like smothered. And then she was like, just go ahead and have fun with basketball. But then he like made it an all-day affair and then got mad at her for being mad at him because the baby's crib needed to be built. Oh, wait, I think the baby was not born yet. Sorry. Anyway, but then he started flirting with Marisol, and it's just like Casey just didn't know how to sit down somewhere. He was always looking at somebody else. I didn't understand what he was going through, but yeah, he was not a good boyfriend at all. So I'm gonna go to Imogen Prosperi. I think that's how you pronounce her last name, y'all. I don't like Imogen. I think she's very cute, but her weird obsession with Eli made me very uncomfortable and annoyed. And the way she like was getting him to stop taking his meds, like when he really needed it, I just did not like her approach to that. It was very weird. Her relationship with Fiona was kind of refreshing, but I mean, I don't know. And then that whole thing with her and Adam, like, she was another one of those quirky, but not in a good way quirky, but kind of like, okay, what is your issue? Like, why are you always in the center of somebody's drama? Like, she just gave that vibe, like, so I don't know. I just don't really care for image and all like that. So yeah, moving on. So we have Johnny DeMarco. Now, Johnny dated Allie, who he was like a senior. She was like a freshman. That was already like, no, just that it was fuck no. Okay. Then he took her virginity and then lied to her and told her that he was a virgin as well. And then told her, oh, by the way, I might have a disease. So yeah, like, you know what I mean? Like, that's it. I just hated that. That was very like tasteless, disgusting, and very manipulative. So he gaslit her a lot. It was always like, oh, cut it with the PDA and blah, 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 blah. And I'm just like, you're in a relationship with this girl and she's a young female. What do you think she wants to do with you in the hallway? Like, you want to be the bad boy and all that other stuff. And, when she didn't listen to him and posted that picture, showed that picture of him with the teddy bear or whatever, and then he sent her nudes to Bruce, like, that was crazy as hell to me. Like, Johnny lost so many cool points. I mean, he never really had any, but he damn sure lost them then, if he ever was gonna try to gain any. He only gained back any type of cool points when he was in college and let Allie stay with him when she ran away from home. That was it. That was it. I didn't care nothing about that boy prior to that. And the relationship, watching them just made my, I don't know, it made my head hurt. Real talk. So another quick one, we're gonna go to Derek Hagg. He was just like a little, like with Danny, Liberty's brother. They were just like two annoying kids. I won't say I liked him, but he was kind of okay then. When he tried to show up Jimmy when he was the basketball coach, I did not like him then because he was an asshole. And that was the beginning of more fuck shit to see. I do like the moment that he had with Liberty when he was letting her know, like, hey, I'm an adoptive kid too, et cetera, et cetera. And I feel like that was nice. That change from that was just crazy to me because he became an adult and then he joined the I hate Hallie J train. It's like, I'll bring the rope, And then the way he bullied, him and the guys bullied Jane for being on the football team, and he jumped her, and like, it wasn't like, oh, I'm just talking trash to her. No, like, kicked her in her stomach, all that, like, just because she plays better than him. I freaking hated that guy. Like, the way he disappeared, and my girl Nas Clips likes to call it the black hole analysis. I was very excited to see that bastard go black hole because the way he just didn't the way he got away with that, to me, was fucking ridiculous. I didn't respect it. I don't care. He should have gotten, like, suspended, expelled. I mean, there's so much other crazy shit that's happened in that school that people have gotten worse punishments for, and this asshole was able to get away with bullying this girl and physically assaulting her. No. So we're gonna move on to Jane Vaughn. I liked Jane in the beginning. She kind of annoyed me just slightly because, Spinner was going through his cancer thing, but the thing is, she was looking out for him, so I will give her that. As she got older, and I started to really like their relationship, her and Spinner, but then she starts feeling like she's one of the guys, and and she gets like overwhelmed with Spinner asking her to move in, and I feel like she just looked at him like he had to be whatever she wanted him to be. So naturally, when this asswipe Declan Coyne comes along, she allows this bastard to invade her psyche, and now they're having a whole affair. And then, Holly J finds out, and she's like trying to get upset with her, like, why do you only have a crush on guys that I like? Because Holly J used to have a crush on Spinner. And it's like, yeah, but she didn't do anything about it. Well, okay, she did, like, the day the Spinner got shot. I mean, she did kind of shut the door, like, hey. But anyway, the point is this. Instead of getting mad at Holly J, you should have just looked at it as, okay, listen, I am, and I need to stop, And it's like, you got this little boy toy, but you got somebody that loves you deeply. Do you want the boy toy or do you want the guy that loves you deeply? So she irritated me with that. And then her and Holly J talking about it in the tent. I mean, and spin her hair in it. It was one of the best scenes I've ever seen. But especially because the way he just punched Declan out of nowhere and cussed her out and then cussed Holly J out. I respected that. However, I didn't like the way the conversation was going because it almost seemed like they were like making fun of it. Like, he didn't know. Like, I don't know. I just didn't like Jane for that. I loved Jane and Jane Says, the episode where she talks about her. Where her dad comes back and she has repressed memories of him molesting her. I did like her in that episode because it's familiar territory, not from my dad. I'm saying, like, I've been a sexual assault survivor, and I've been around a bunch of people that didn't believe me. So, I got that part of it, but also, like, it was a very good character arc for Jane, for me. Other than that, didn't really like her because of her snooty attitude. Just saying. Okay, so we're going to talk about Ellie Nash. Now, I actually liked Ellie, but she was very pushy. Like, okay, so when Marco didn't want to come out as gay, like, she pressured him a lot to do that. And, in the beginning, I understood the pressure of, okay, I don't want you to want to be your fake girlfriend anymore. I get that, but pressuring him to come out was just a little too much. I don't think, and there's a lot of that in these shows, like, with, I want to say her name is Kat. Was her name Kat? Whatever. Jack and Imogen, freaking, Ellie and Marco, Zane and Riley. There was a lot of, I need you to come out now. And it's just like, people will come out when they're ready. Okay. Like, it was a lot of pressure. So that was one thing I didn't like. I loved her relationship with Sean. I thought it was awesome. I mean, Ellie had so many great character developments. And then the moment she started crushing on Craig, it was hell from that point on. I promise. She threw herself to Craig so many times, it was ridiculous. And Craig just kept dumping on her every single time. And it was like, Ellie, let this man go. Like, you know what I mean? And then she even took out her anger about Craig on Manny. And it's like, girl, listen. And Craig, like, friend-zoned her like 8 times and then played with her head, especially when he came back and he was addicted to coke and stuff. And it was just like, oh my gosh, like, she just kept doing it. And then, when, Degrassi Goes Hollywood, she did it again. I mean, she did it when she was with Jesse. She did it with Degrassi Goes Hollywood. They had that dumbass kiss at the airport. I was just beyond over that, seriously. Especially when her and Manny were going back and forth at the table. Even though Manny did start first because she said something slick out of her damn mouth. She did. But the whole breast showing online through high school, I feel like that was kind of a dig. And then because Manny was incoherently drunk. And if she had did it just on some sober stuff, I could see her talking trash then. Or she could have mentioned like, I don't know how I'd have made it out through high school without having everybody see my thong. Whatever. Then she was sober when she did that. So I feel like that would have been not a problem for me. But that's just my personal opinion. I still like Ellie up until she started liking Craig. When she started liking Craig, I didn't like her no more. She was too judgmental. She thought she was better than everybody. And I just didn't like it. I didn't. Whew. I have to take a deep breath before this one. Ashley Kerwin. That girl was the most. Everything had to be about Ashley. It was all Ashley all the time. She was Little Miss Perfect. She did that when she tried to pay JT to drop out the race when she was running for class president. She basically tried to make a fool out of Liberty when she wanted to do the morning announcements. She constantly belittled Terry. I mean, constantly. Because when she found out her dad was gay, she reacted to it like, I get it that, especially in these type of early seasons where like becoming gay was not as prominent as it is right now. Like, if somebody says, oh, such and such is gay, you're like, oh, okay. But back then it was like, what? Like, but, I get her shock and awe and stuff like that. But when Paige was trying to talk to her about it and she like throws her milk in her face and she's like, I was just trying to be helpful. And I was like, you know what? But, and I hate to do this. God, I hate it. In Ashley's defense, see, it hurts me. Paige was a bitch prior to that moment. Even though they were friends, she was very bitchy and had a lot of smart ass comments. So, she probably took it as, all right, you're trying to be funny, stop playing with me. So, I had to get rid of that. I'm sorry. I don't want to, but I have to. Her being with Jimmy for like, oh, he's smothering me, and then she was gonna break up with him, then she decides not to break up with him, then she takes ecstasy at her party, hooks up with Sean, then breaks up with him. It was just a mess, then says, oh yeah, we can work it out again, then takes up the date with Sean, completely ignoring Terry's advice, but not before shaming her. And then Jimmy calls her a slut. That's a problem. So, she changes to Goth Ash. Her and Jimmy are like dating. He doesn't like Goth Ash. She breaks up with him via a freaking poem. And then she gets with Craig. And it wasn't her fault that Craig cheated on her. He was an asshole. But I understand her being mad that, Manny was pregnant, but she reacted as if Craig didn't lie to her too. Like, I will cover that in another video, but people made it seem like Manny was the biggest whore on the planet. Like, that girl slept with everything moving, and that wasn't even the case. So that's all I'm saying. She got way too much hate for this shit. But yeah, so. And I didn't like the way she outed her pregnancy in front of everybody like that. Like, that was very disrespectful and tasteless. Like, she just... It's all right, I can't believe you slept with her. Well, what the hell did you think he was doing with her? I don't know. Anyway, so her dealing with Craig, and then find out that, he's bipolar, and then she wanted to leave for London, but she didn't want to take him with her because she was tired of taking care of him. It was just like, damn, Ashley. Like, as a person who has bipolar disorder, it's very annoying when people treat your disorder as if it's like a very bad crutch. It's not fun. So after she did all that, she goes to London and literally, she was gonna break up with Jimmy on his birthday, and then she broke up with Craig on his birthday via email to Ellie. I didn't think about that. You know what? She's really a whore. Anyway, but she met some dude in London, and now she was all like, whatever. So she comes back. Eventually gets with Jimmy, gets upset with him because she's pursuing her music career and people like Jimmy better. I mean, it's Drake. What you think, girl? But anyway, so she takes his rap off her demo album, and when he finds out, he's pissed about it. I'm like, I would be pissed too. Like, you're really weird. And then we see her like, go on tour with Craig or whatever the hell, blah, blah, blah. And then Jimmy's like, you're touring with him? And then she just kind of walks out like, whatever. Like, I'm like, oh, man. Well, in Jimmy's defense, he was already with the other girl about that point. Ashley was upset about that, too. I didn't care. I was like, finally somebody got her ass. Anyway. So, Emma freaking mind your business, Nelson. Emma was overbearing and controlling and loud and obnoxious. First of all, I hated the way she treated her mom. The way she treated Spike was very annoying. Hello, have you ever heard of knocking? Like, ma'am, who are you talking to? And then, like, whatever she felt was right, she would always, be like, she would step on other people's toes to make sure that they knew she was right and they were wrong. Like, she really was very rude, especially towards her friends. Instead of like talking to an adult about the whole thing, and Mr. Armstrong was like, grooming Liberty, she just talks with Manny about it, and then it spreads through the entire school. She doesn't know how to mind her damn business. When Manny wanted to be a part of the spirit squad, Emma like wrote a whole article about being bimbos and things like that. And I'm like, Emma, relax. Like, she just got on my leg. Like, I used to love Emma, I promise you. I got older and was like, this girl get on my goddamn nerve. Like, you know, and then she always has something slick to say to somebody. You know, like, when Manny changed her look, she's like, oh, you look great. I wouldn't say if it wasn't true. Then later on, oh, just because you're dressing like an idiot. I'm like, oh, then you just, see, it's the fake shit for me. Then, you know, when Manny got pregnant, like, now, a lot of people like to get mad at Emma for not being respectful of her friend who was getting an abortion. And this is the thing. I was a serious advocate for pro-life. So, no, I would not have agreed with somebody getting an abortion. I still don't technically agree, but I'm low-key pro-choice, because after all the shit my kids put me through, I'm like, you know what? If you want to take Bo out, take him out. But, you know, she was supportive at the end when Craig was freaking out on her, you know, which was a step up for Emma. But, you know, she was very angry instead of just like being like, oh, I don't understand why, and having a conversation. She just lashed out on Manny. And I'm like, girl, you're not the one pregnant. Manny is. Like, so she really got on my nerve with that. You know, when Spike got pregnant, you know, and she was thinking about having an abortion, especially because, you know, Snake didn't want to have a baby. You know, I get why Emma wanted to bring it up to him, but I feel like that was a conversation that her current stepdad and her mom should have been having. I don't think she should have been involved in that, but she did anyway, because that's what she does. So, you know, she started a riot against Lakehurst. She started the whole Rick getting bullied thing, because she just had to make it worldwide known to everybody why Rick was back at school. She basically flirted with him low-key and then treated him like he was a disease. Excuse me, when he kind of tried to reciprocate the energy he thought he was getting, instead of just like, oh, I'm sorry, I like you, but I like that. Like, you know what I mean? She was very rude about it. Then, I'm not going to talk about her distancing herself from Manny and Liberty Post shooting, because that's just a normal reaction. I mean, she had a gun pointed at her face. I don't know why so many people feel like that was wrong of her. You know, when Manny had that situation with Peter, it was the audacity for that bitch to really date him after that. Like, and then when Manny tried to display her insecurities, and she was like, it'd be different if I was you, you know, skinny and blonde. Instead of her just being like, okay, let me really like look into that. She's like, this is crap. This is not what this is about. Then what is it about, Emma? Like, she was just never understanding. And like I said, she dated this douchebag, you know, and Manny's parents kicked her out of the house after this. Well, not the video, but I mean during that time of the video, because of her wanting to get breast implants and stuff like that. They kicked her out of the house, and she wanted to get revenge on Peter because he said she was a tease, but then decided to stop because, oh, he has to be forced to sleep in a new room because of the baby. Your friend was kicked out of the house. You got more sympathy for this white boy's first world war problems, but your POC, aka person of color friend, who has been kicked out of her home and can't return until she basically listens to her dad. You don't care about that? Because the way she reacted when Manny told her she got kicked out, it wasn't like, oh my gosh, girl. Like, I don't know. I just don't like her. And, you know, when she tried to get Manny, they started going on diet. So, you know, all the stuff was going on when she found out that, you know, her stepdad hooked up with Peter's mom or whatever. And they go on the diets and all that stuff. And, you know, she's like losing her mind. And she stops eating. And then, you know, she has that panic attack. And she like freaks out on everybody. And she's in the hospital. And Mandy's like really sad. Like, please, I can't. You're going to die. Okay. Blah, blah. She's like, no one's going to die. Okay. I'm going to beat this. And it's just like, damn, girl. She's just trying to be there for you. Like, I don't know. I just don't like her, man. Seriously. And I already talked about it earlier, but the whole thing with... No, I didn't actually. With Chris and Liberty, when Emma, he wanted to date Liberty because they were dating first. And she was all like, oh, and she started flirting with him and trying to pretend like she still got feelings for him. And then Manny's just kind of like, I mean, hello, like, he likes Liberty, like, what's up? And she's like, what are people gonna think of me if Chris goes out with Liberty next? Bitch, like, you know what? She just really irked my damn soul. Seriously. She irked me so much. I just wanted to... There's so many times where Emma speaks, I just want to choke her through the screen. Like, the only time I didn't want to choke her is when she was getting married to Spinner. I hated that relationship. I said what I said. But, yeah. That was the only time I didn't want to choke her. Other than that, she got on my nerve. Even when she was in college, it was like she was obsessing over being, you know, they was all being roommates. But when they finally really did like their roommates, and she's like, oh, well, I got us rooming together. And it's just like, girl, she's always clinging to somebody. She's very clingy. I don't know. I don't like her. I want to move on from that chicken head. Last person on this list, I will say that I don't like, is Peter Michael. Peter came on to the scene. You know, Emma liked him, but he liked Manny. Manny kept pushing him in her direction, Emma's, I mean, and he was just not having it. That whole situation happened, and he did that to her, and I just felt like, you know what an asshole, like, seriously, you know, and basically wanted her to date him so he wouldn't distribute it around the school. And I'm just like, you know what? That's so creepy, you know? Then when he put it out anyway, then he tried to extort her for the new camera he wanted. And then he put out the video, and he got like a slap on the wrist. Like, he was the definition of white male privilege. Like, he got slapped on the wrist for that. And his mom, that look she gave Manny, I'm like, what are you ma'am? It's like everybody, like, Manny gets the shit end of the stick from a lot of people, no lies. And I'm starting to realize it's becoming a theme when it comes to Degrassi and their POC people. They get like a lot of the shit end of the stick, while their blonde-haired, blue-eyed people tend to get like away with a lot of shit. But that's another conversation for another day. So, not only did Peter do that, he thought it was funny on more than one occasion when people brought it up. And we're talking about a little, like, posted, and then, like, way down the line, like, when they brought it up, and he's like, like, it's not funny. You know what I mean? He literally pimped Darcy out to some random ass asshole he didn't know online. And then the dumbass showed up at her house. Like, anything could have happened to her or her sister, and he just, like, had zero care in the world, and she still had the fucking audacity to date this man. Then when he was dating Emma, anyway, when Sean came back, he got very jealous because he realized that Emma still had feelings for him. So, in order to get Sean out the way, he plants weed in his locker and gets him fucking expelled. Meanwhile, he has done way worse than have weed in his locker. He distributed child pornography across the school, but his mother just slapped him on the wrist. And Jay, his ass, coerced Sean to street race with Peter. Sean ends up hitting a jogger. He goes to jail, of course. Peter gets a slap on the wrist. That's every time you see Peter, that's all you see is slap on the wrist. You know? He breaks into Emma's locker, puts a mask in there, and she's all like, oh, it's so beautiful. Manny has to bring her dumb ass back to earth and be like, how the hell did he get in there? Like, then she wants to break with him. Again, because of Sean, because of this blonde-haired, green-eyed man, she wants to break up with him. But she was still into him after he distributed her best friend's breast across the fucking school. Y'all gotta forgive me. Just that girl gets on my fucking nerve. Anyway, then he meets Darcy, pretends it's a date, it's community service, and he asks her reverend to sign some papers for him. I don't understand why these girls still keep talking to him. Then, he gets her in the car and is like, oh yeah, I can drive. Gets pulled over, realizes that his license is fucking suspended. I don't understand the appeal of this guy. I really don't. He got better when he got older, to be honest with you. He was really great with his sister. I think he had a pretty good relationship with Mia, even though he had that still feelings for Darcy, weird shit going on. But, his better character arcs was his relationship with his sister, when he was friends with Riley, because he was very, very good to him. So he had those type of character arcs. But other than that, he was the worst character to ever grace the screen of Degrassi. Like, he was terrible for so long that I don't even think his developmental character arc as he got older even made a difference. So, honestly. So, with that being said, that is my exhausted, because I'm exhausted now, my exhausted opinion of the worst characters to have ever graced Degrassi's screen. What do you guys think? Who do you think is the worst? Do you agree with the list, or do you think that there should be some people added? I will give a special, what's it called? I will give a special, what is the word I want to use? An honorable mention. Riley. He was very aggressive for no reason. Like, he was dealing with the point of being a jock and being gay, but I mean, he was aggressive towards anybody that said anything to him. He was just violent for no reason. So, I said what I said about him. So he's a special honor right there. But anyways, that is a wrap. That's it for that. I hope you guys stay awesome, stay sweet, and I will see you in the next video. Cheers.